Today we're going to do a 3-card spread that has the intention of helping you remove energy. Whoa, look at that. Those are the first 2 cards. That has the intention of helping you remove money blocks. And then we'll clarify at the end with 1 card from the Money and Law of Attraction deck. So let's get the final card here, and then I'll explain the spread a little bit. So 1 final card, the 3rd card, please. Oop, that's too many. Actually, the top one feels right. Okay, here we go. First card is the 7 of Wands in reverse. The middle card is Judgment, the 2nd card. And the 3rd card is 3 of Wands upright. So the first card represents what you think the problem is, what you think is blocking money in some regard, but is not actually the problem. So it's important to get clear on that, because a lot of times we funnel our energy to try to solve problems when it's not the actual problem to resolve. It's not the actual imbalance to correct. And as I say that, it's just not our, I think that a lot of times we are funneling our energy to improper problems because we weren't taught in our culture how to decode what I call the language of life, how to decode the messages we're getting. So a lot of times we just put our energy to where it's not actually serving us, where the 2nd card represents what the actual problem is, and the 3rd card represents what would create a breakthrough. So again, first card is what you feel like what you are assuming the problem is, but is not actually the problem. 2nd card is what the actual problem is. 3rd card is what would create a breakthrough. Okay, so let's start with card 1 here. What you feel is the actual problem, but is not. We've got 7 of Wands in reverse. So I think this is really noteworthy and kind of exciting, because 7 of Wands upright can often represent really fiery energy, get ahead energy. So I think what you think is the problem, but is not, is that you either don't have that energy, it's just not natural to you, or in this season you don't have that energy, and you're telling yourself that's the energy I need to get ahead in my finances. That's the energy I need to remove these money blocks. But the good news is it's not. And I say the good news because I think that's kind of an old paradigm sort of energy in terms of what we think is going to make us successful, what we think is going to help us move towards financial freedom. A lot of work hard, force it into place, willpower, get ahead of others. Now, what's amazing, I'm going to jump to this card 3 here, because what's amazing is what will actually create a breakthrough is collaboration in more grounded, fiery energy, which is kind of a paradox, but stick with me. So the assumption, so there's a maturity that's happening. So there's an assumption here that to remove money blocks, you have to get ahead, quote unquote. But look at this. What will actually create a breakthrough is almost removing the idea entirely that there's a ahead or behind, and maybe more accurately put, thinking you have to get ahead of others. So collaboration is going to be key. Community care is going to be key. Grounded energy. And as I'm saying all this, look at the beauty of this card. Look at that little swirl there. Doesn't that to you, or I'll speak for myself, to me, that feels like roots. Doesn't it feel like roots? So that's wild, because again, there is a fiery aspect to wands. Wands are action, creativity, passion, and that's important, right? But this swirling, there's a groundedness to this, where this is look at the difference between these 2 cards. Here, this almost feels like a face-off, doesn't it? With those 2 triangles, there's a face-off, because the thought is you have to get ahead of other people, so on and so forth. This is more in alignment with Mother God, Mother Nature energy, which is, again, collaboration, community care, grounded, fiery energy. I mean, the 2 elements coming through strongly here are earth energy and fire, for sure. Okay, so that's incredible. So then here, what the actual problem is, so again, card 1, what you feel like is the problem, or you've assumed is the problem, but is actually not the problem. Card 2, what the actual problem is judgment. So I feel like what this judgment card is bringing attention to is that this journey is intended to happen from this assumption, from Seven of Wands in reverse, thinking your problem is that you don't have that fiery energy, you never have or you never will, to more understanding how to utilize your fiery energy in a kind win-win way. That is an important journey for you to go on. And I wonder here, because it's in the problem position, I wonder here if like it's a journey that you have unconsciously or consciously avoided. So maybe it's a journey you're scared of. Maybe it's just a journey you didn't even realize you needed to go on. Like, as I'm saying all this, I'm just thinking about just like capitalism in general. You know, capitalism is a way of thinking about exchange, but it's not the only way of thinking about exchange, right? And with capitalism as the primary way of exchanging at this point, we have, this is a lot of, like, it's a lot of this energy, right? Trying to get ahead, exploiting others, so on and so forth. And I think with the judgment card is very shocking in this, isn't it? I think what wants to be said is like looking at different ways of exchange. Like, judgment is major arcana, and judgment in and of itself as an individual card is just like major, isn't it? Like, it just is major. Look at that. It just calls your attention. So the way that I interpret major arcana and minor arcana is when major arcana show up, your choices have less impact. When minor arcana show up, your choices have more of a major impact. So another way of saying that is that it's like divinely destined for you to explore this journey of going from a really capitalistic way of looking at exchange and how you work to just exploring other ways of seeing exchange, exploring other ways of seeing economy, exploring other ways of how, of all of that. Because I think like, and seeing how that is going to create some space in your thought process. That's going to create some space in your nervous system, which can eventually give you more of these ideas that will lead to more financial growth and freedom for you. But when you're trying to get them from the Seven of Wands way of being, and then you're thinking the problem is you just like you don't really have that energy. There's a lot of stuckness to this, right? But if you can recognize that this is an important journey you're being asked to go on, and it is a journey. It's a journey of healing. It's a journey of exploration. It's a journey of curiosity. And it's divinely destined, and it's important. Then you give yourself more permission to, invest the time, energy, resources into unlearning some things and learning different things, right? Into unlearning the idea that we all have to be at each other's throats in order to quote unquote be successful. And maybe there's a different idea of success and again, exchange and successful exchange that can include community care, that can include collaboration. And so I think this is, and here's the deal, like with Seven of Wands being in reverse, I think this is something that is like, this is like innate within you. I feel like you prefer this, right? Like at your core, you prefer collaboration. You prefer community care. You prefer grounded fiery energy versus fiery energy to get ahead, right? But I think because of how our culture currently operates, how we've been conditioned, you probably have judged yourself for this. Oh my God, judgment card. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. That's the main message. You're judging yourself for not having capitalistic value, so to speak, because this is who you are, but really that's who you're intended to be. So the problem is not only like that you may be avoiding going through this journey, the healing that you need to go through to get back to your innate self and trust her, but the also problem is just the judgment you place on yourself for something that Mother God is actually very happy with you about. Do you know what I mean? I think Three of Wands versus Seven of Wands, like Three of Wands, I mean, to be fair, I truly do believe that there are no good or bad cards in the tarot and there's light sides and shadow sides to each card. But in terms of how these cards are speaking to me in this reading, like the Three of Wands is much more Mother God, Mother Nature energy than Seven of Wands, right? So Mother God standing firmly here in the middle, look at it, almost like it looks like a mother, doesn't it? That's sort of wild. So she's like, stop judging yourself for not having this. It's okay. It's okay. You were never, this is who you're intended to be. And in general, this is how our collective can work better. And so I think there's this like beautiful journey you're being asked to go on in terms of, how you view economy, how you view exchange, realizing that you already innately know this, it's already intuitive to you, but just not judging it as a part of learning how to not judge it, realizing that there's an important healing journey unique to you that you're going to go on. Because it's easy to say like, oh, just don't judge yourself. But like to actually do that, there, we have to come to terms with the fact that we have been coded in these ways. And so when you think you're not doing this, you are going to judge yourself. And so there's a journey that each of us has to go on when we've been coded in dysfunctional ways. By coded, I mean like through our culture, through our families of origin, through our subcultures. We create pathways in our brains. We code our nervous systems in different ways where it doesn't feel safe not to be this, even though you aren't innately this. So there's like a journey of healing, of self-discovery that you're being asked to go on so that more and more you can trust this way of being for yourself and others, the Three of Wands way of being, and more you can, code your nervous system with this way of being so that you're not having to convince yourself not to judge yourself. You like just literally don't, because you're aligning with this grounded, fiery energy, with the idea of community care and collaboration. And you're then letting, as you align more with this, as you are like, literally like your body changes because your nervous system changes, then from that journey comes a completely different experience of money. Wow, I'm like really excited for you. This is incredible. So let's do one clarifying card with this deck, the Money and Law of Attraction deck. Let's see what wants to come out here. Ooh, it was that one, wasn't it? I can pivot under any and all conditions. It's card 20. Oh, wow. 20. So 2 plus 0 equals 2. The number 2 often is like a decision number. How crazy is that? Judgment. So like a decision, moving from one way of being to another, making that decision that that's an important journey to go on. Seeing them as kind of stark differences, but realizing there's a journey, a gradual journey that will shift you from one to the other. Okay, let's read the back of the card. You have the ability to pivot under any and all conditions, but most of you are habitual in nature and your patterns are so well entrenched that at times the faster path to joy, your patterns are so well entrenched that at times the fastest path to the joy you seek is for you to take your pivot as you sleep. Oh, that's interesting. So we just talked about that. How wild is that? How like you're literally coded, I said, but here they're using the word patterns. That's crazy. So I think, yeah, so they're giving you like a little shortcut here. So let's keep reading. By reaching for good feeling thoughts before you go to sleep and then experiencing the benefit of the quiet mind that occurs while you sleep, and then upon awakening, immediately turning to the good feeling thoughts, you can accomplish the ultimate pivoting experience. Wow. That's so interesting. So let's think about this for a second. So I think what's being said, I think you can take that as direct advice, like do that practice. But I also think it's a little bigger than that in terms, I think they're like trying to bring light to like actual practices that can help you with this process. So 2 things are coming to mind. One is looking up somatic experiencing, or you could look up like nervous system healing. Because those are actual tangible practices that can help rewire, right? Because I mean, how crazy is it that we talked about coding and then they bring up patterns and then give you a practice to help you deal with those patterns? I think what's being acknowledged is like, and this is to be said about anybody. Like, it's not our fault how we're patterned. It's not our fault how we're coded. It's not our fault we came into this culture and we're conditioned in a certain way. We came into a family, we're conditioned a certain way. However, it is our responsibility to unpattern and repattern, to unlearn and relearn if we want different experiences. And that journey is a big journey, judgment card. It's an important journey, judgment card. No need to judge our past. It's funny, I was just like looking at judging, but no need to judge our past. Like, but in order to not judge in a really authentic way, we literally have to recode and repattern. So again, somatic experiencing / nervous system healing is one thing that's coming up. The second thing that's coming up is to look up Neville Goddard. Because he has a lot of like, he's not living anymore, but there's like a lot of free stuff on YouTube. So just like type in Neville Goddard, see what comes to you. But there's just a lot of, I think I thought of it because he talks a lot about like thinking right as you sleep, as you fall asleep, like envisioning what you want, how like there's brain patterns at work when you are like going into that sleep that can be really powerful. So I feel like there might be something with Neville's work that could be helpful in this process for you. But regardless, I'm really excited for you, and mostly because I just feel the kindness of who you are, and I just feel as though you deserve to not judge yourself for that, to more and more experience the benefits of this. Because I think up until this point, maybe you haven't experienced the benefits. Not only have you judged yourself for being this and not Seven of Wands, but you just haven't been able to experience the immense benefit of being this type of person. And I think, you know, Mother God would like you to know, like, you should experience benefit, and it's time for you to do that. And the only thing, you know, it's always just us blocking ourselves, isn't it? Such a crazy journey being here on planet Earth as a human. But really, that's what wants to be said. The only thing blocking you is just yourself. But by yourself, I don't mean like your innate self, who you're intended to be, who Mother God celebrates you for, but just the conditioned self. And there's just a process of deconditioning, unconditioning, reconditioning, unlearning, relearning, unpatterning, repatterning. But I think that journey is really worth it for you to go on, not only in terms of what it could do for your finances, but really also so that you can more and more be the grounded, fiery, kind, compassionate person that you truly are.